the budget the other night. Board of Finance voted and recommended that the selectmen cut $175,000 from the town budget. I sent out some proposed cuts yesterday, which totaled $179,625. And basically the cuts were from capital, and I had a discussion with the librarian on Wednesday night. Capital cuts were library bathrooms. They said that they would be able to take care of that. Bucket truck for DPW, a police vehicle and setup for the police vehicle, and the interrogation room video system, which thankfully they just got a grant for. Then operating, based on some discussions with Bob, we took 20,000 out of Social Security, 20 out of heat and water, and 20 out of electricity, to total 179,625. That brings the budget down to 15,211,575. The other part of the discussion is the Board of Ed the other night was asked to cut $49,000, and if we so choose, we can make a recommendation based. We can't cut their budget line item wise, but we can make a recommendation if we want to change that to the Board of Finance. So first, let's discuss the town budget. Anything?
Well, can you just explain the Social Security line? What is that?
Right now, we're showing that we could be in have a $39,000 surplus at the end of the fiscal year. That's based on personnel audits. So rather than taking a whole 39, I want to be careful. I figure
So
take
it's
half
not
of it.
payroll expense that you think would be over?
Yes. Yeah.
What about electricity? I thought it was a contract.
It is, but it's 5 cents. We drop 5 cents a kilowatt hour based on our usage. We're looking at we're projected that we're going to have some money left this year, so I took half of that basically. Heat and water, now that we've converted all the buildings to gas that the town pays for, we're seeing some savings in that. So they will take money out of that. You know, I know the health insurance is always an issue, but if you remember through the budget process, we dropped the health insurance line by $53,000 from last year, so that's why I didn't go after that at this point. I didn't go after any personnel at this point. I will caution, you know, I know you guys had interviews last night, but if the budget fails this time, I think that there's going to be, that's the next place. So, and then the chief, and I think the police commission asked for a swap, which would be versus the vehicle and setup. They'd like to see the boat engine and outdrive number taken out of capital. Is that true?
The reason for that is that we asked for 4 vehicles, and we already cut to 2 for the vehicles. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you guys we don't get any extra money in R&M to offset that. The boat engine, which is a 12-month asset, that vehicle, as opposed to the boat. Right now, the boat, talking to our thing, he said, look, you might be able to get through the season. The commission's thoughts on that were that the vehicle sets us back in our 10-year plan a lot farther than if the boat does. So.
Well, if we go with that, I'm going to tell you right now, if something happens with the boat, you're parking the boat.
I said that.
And you guys are going to have to answer to that, why the boat's parked, because you decided to trade it off.
It's either I park a car. I mean,
well, we got a lot of cars.
Yeah, but it's not that easy. I mean, there's a reason we asked for 4 cars. So, and I think we've done a very good job with our fleet maintenance, sir, and I think you've seen it.
Just caution, if that actually happens, that the boat, something happens with the engine, there's no money to fix it.
How much was the boat?
Well, he owes me $4,625 because the boat's only $30,000. Right?
Had it on.
You brought that with you today, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else had a chance to look at anything really.
Willie, just out of curiosity, I don't like having to play the role of Scrooge, but with the fire department and capital expenditure, the Bay Florida resurfacing, $40,000. I mean, I think maybe I'd rather have an extra police car than if we could put this off a year.
Well,
but
my
it's-
opinion on that, Jeffrey came in the other night after, and he offered that floor up, but I think that's been something that's been put off for several years.
That's
It's a
been
safety
10
issue.
That's been 10 years put on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
all
a
of that.
safety issue.
It's a safety issue.
There's not enough grit in the
Is
floor,
it-
so when the firemen come in wet, they can,
Oh, they can get hurt, okay, all right.
Well, similar. But it has been put off at least 6, 7 years. They've been,
No, I understand, and, you know, if it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue,
Yeah.
certainly, you know.
We've been lucky, that's all I can say about that.
I hate seeing that bucket truck get cut, because that's a very useful piece of
Yeah,
equipment.
I know, but you know, my thinking on that, Carol, is we haven't had one. It's not like we're replacing a vehicle that we need to replace, we don't have one, it's not a necessity, we've been able to get away without it for a long, long time. And it's the first time it's been requested actually too, so.
What do you use instead?
Use a payloader with a man basket on it and safety, but that's really not the correct way to do it. But we do get by with that, or we hire Shoreline Electric, or we hire Island to come in and do that type of work.
And there's no, is anybody, well, I'll tell you what is gonna drive people crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we do this, we cut capital,
Yeah.
we cut some operating. Well, I honestly believe the operating is, we won't feel anything from that. We're gonna feel a squeeze from the police vehicle.
Mhm.
I honestly believe the library can fund the stuff themselves, the bathroom themselves. But we're gonna come back at the beginning of July, and people are gonna hear about raises that occur. I mean, I know that's the way the contracts are situated, that they end June 30th and they take place July 1st. Those numbers aren't factored into this budget.
Not yet. But no, they are, because there's a contingency line item in the budget of $100,000, which is what I said the other night at the board.
Right, but the contingency we generally plan on using for unexpected.
No, typically the contingency, and that's why I cautioned it being reduced, is, you know, there's union contracts come up several years ago, the police contract, not this last one, the one prior to that, the contingency was actually raised to a higher level because they knew that was coming up, there was gonna be retro involved, and that's used to balance the salary items after the day when the contracts are settled. So contingency is for operating expenses that are unanticipated and basically for contracts. And that's why reducing it to $100,000 I thought was scary.
I do too, I don't like that at all.
No, actually, remember when we were talking about, you were talking about possibly raising it because we
Yeah.
knew we had contracts coming up.
Yeah,
But that's the decision the Board of Finance made. So you're gonna find $4,625?
I will get back to by the end of the day.
Means I don't have to change my number from 179,625. Didn't bring my calculator over here either, so, geez.
what was the $17,000 increase for the library?
That was their operating. They had a loss of revenue, Mary Beth was a major, yeah, it was a loss of revenue.
The state grants.
Well, I mean, you're going from 723,000 to 740, that's,
17 grand.
Right.
oh, the state
Yeah,
is,
state grants.
That was just a reduction in the state.
Yeah, well, because of the offset, the reduction in revenue, and an increase in,
that's a big nut.
well, I think the comment I made the other night was I'm gonna have to cut that out, and then they offered up the bathroom. Where Mary Beth and Rich said, you know, take the bathroom out.
That's good.
In capital, we dropped it, obviously, but we're still, even with that reduction that I just went through, we're still 69,000 above what we were last year, so we're slowly getting back over, you know, I brought it up last night at a meeting, we were at $1 million in capital 3-4 years ago, downside.
Well, I mean, you know, I moved here 35 years ago, and my taxes were $300 a year. And for that, I get police service, fire service, the dump, schools, and the library. My taxes on that same property are now almost $6,000, 20 times more. I get a police department, fire department, public works, library,
Schools.
what did I miss? Schools,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, people are feeling that way, that what are we getting for increased taxes every year? If you don't have a child in the school system, what are you getting for your taxes going up every year? I mean, if they came by, I've said this for 35 years, if they came by and picked up my garbage, I would feel great. But that doesn't happen. The dump is open 2 days a week. People are unhappy. They see that salaries go up every year. I understand, they are contracts and they are contracted employees and this happens. But people are unhappy in general with the fact that, I know we haven't had a raise in 5 years. We haven't gone up 5 cents on our price in 5 years. Fuel costs have gone up $1 a gallon. We have an employee, Social Security goes up. We are making less and less and less money every year. Town employees aren't. And people feel that, and it hurts. A lot of private sector employees have had no raises for years. I did some research last night. There are 229 houses on the market in Clinton right now. 22 in addition to that are in short sale. That means people are out. They've lost everything in
It's
their
not
home.
just Clinton, Carol.
We-
You gotta
I know
stop
that,
stop
but
speaking like
that's-
it's only Clinton.
That's who we're dealing with here, is people who are becoming glazed over. If you're not working for the town, you're not making any money.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's
Hey,
not true.
it's true.
And
in
Carol, the other
How
thing
many
you have to
people
look at-
here are drawing money from the town?
Let's talk about
Just
the
about
increase in
everybody,
the
right?
activity in the building department.
That's
There-
right.
It's not just looking, first of all, your taxes go up for a number of reasons. When did you buy your house for?
I'm just explaining why the budget
But-
failed. I'm explaining why the budget failed. I'm not rational, I'm
No,
not,
you're saying that nobody's making any money but town employees, is what you're saying.
I did say that, and
I
that
did
was
say
in
that.
error, yeah. Well, People don't
What's
have
going on
to-
in the building department? We've got,
It's crazy.
the increase in permits is crazy. Things are
Crazy.
getting better.
Right.
I see
They
it
have to get better.
as my real estate office, my real estate.
Right.
bureau is
220
crazy.
houses for sale?
But they're moving.
And it's
They're
young
young, they're selling.
people that are moving. It's young people that are moving.
You know what, Carol, the only, people aren't leaving or not coming here only because of the taxes.
Right.
There's a tone in this town right now where people don't wanna deal with it.
Well, people
It's
feel
not
like they're
just-
not
it's
being
not just
listened
the
to.
taxes. Well, there's a-
People
there's a
feel
lot of
like
other
they're not
reasons why
being
people are
listened
leaving.
to, and if they aren't, go for it, spend it, buy it, do it now, then they are bad people. They are wrong, they are crucified, they are vilified, they are publicly humiliated. If you're not on board with this colossal spending that's on the horizon, i.e. the school and water pollution, which is a must, if you're not in that camp, you are
Well, Carol, the other thing we have to think about is.
worthy of.
Well, and it goes the other way, because if you're in that camp, then you
get.
get vilified too, so it's both sides of the street.
Carol, if we lose, we're talking, I know that, you know, the CTA has been talking a lot about the surplus. If we start taking away from that savings account and we lose our bond rating or it decreases, our interest rates are gonna go up, our bond rating is gonna go
I'm
down.
not
And all of
talking
that
about-
stuff is gonna cost us more in the future, and if we've been doing this for 3 years now. We keep, you know, pulling money from that. So if our bond rating decreases, and right now, Willie's done a great job through the economy to keep us where we're at, and we lose that, then all of those things you're talking about are gonna cost us more money than we're anticipating they're gonna cost us, because our debt service is gonna be more expensive.
All right, well,
I'm
that's
just-
what I wanted to say.
yeah.
You just need to know why the budget failed, and
Oh, can I go?
that's it.
No, we're not having a Disney conversation.
And I have a huge question here.
Mhm.
How was the vote so off?
I just, it wasn't so long, they added one of the numbers wrong for Board of Ed. That's
Well,
all.
do you know what that does to the credibility of every election that's taken place in this town? Every election? There was only yes, no,
Again,
yes,
I don't, you look at me like it's my fault. I'm not the registrar, I'm not elected to be registrar of voters, I have no control
That is,
over them. They made a mistake.
I was absolutely
People make mistakes.
floored when I heard, it's yes,
I heard you
no,
saw one more, numbers
yes,
more than once,
no.
don't worry about it. So it happens, people make mistakes.
Lily, that's not right, don't say that.
Well,
I mean, it's an important.
it's-
Being the
it's a
registrar is
criticism.
very important. So
Listen,
please
listen,
don't-
kid, no visitors, stop.
I understand, but.
Stop talking.
Don't
Thank
make
you.
light of something that important.
They were very apologetic, they were upset about it, they were in here yesterday, you know, apologized, they went to Karen, apologized, you had to certify it. It's done, they made a mistake.
They have the backup, the paper with the machine, right?
Correct.
That's how they figured it out?
That's how they figured it out. They
Both
went-
Ona and I went over there that night, because we both thought, how could
Well, I said the same
300
thing.
people walk in here
I said
and
the same thing, how
not
come
vote
300
on the
people
Board
not
of
vote on it?
Education?
Yeah, at all, right,
Yeah,
didn't
but
make sense.
it affected 49% versus whatever. from
Exactly,
Board of
okay.
Education.
exactly. And
It's not the same.
But what it did.
149,000 as opposed to
Well,
175,000.
let's get back to the town budget,
Right.
please. Okay, back on track, here we go. All
Okay,
right,
well-
so anybody want to,
Well, I'm very regretful about seeing that bucket truck go, but otherwise, I would make a motion to accept your proposals for the cuts that you,
and that will be supplementing the Marine for the police car and the setup,
And Todd's gonna bring us.
and Todd's gonna find another $4,600.
I'll second it.
It was raised.
This is raised, there is no raise in this budget, that's good.
Even better.
All right, so we got a pay cut. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstention, motion carries. Board of Ed, any recommendations you want to send to the Board of Finance or requests or?
I recommend that they increase the amount of the reduction from the Board of Ed budget to at least the same proportion that the town side got cut.
I think we should go
I have
back.
to say on that night, dominant in the Board of Finance was the numbers.
I understand, that was the
And
reason the
our
base.
vote was dependent, and our interest in
Discussion.
the discussion depended totally on the difference in the vote numbers
Okay.
between correct.
So you're gonna bring it up Monday night, I assume?
So if we
I
could,
think they should go back to the 97, 211. That would make
97,000.
it even from last year.
Okay, you make a motion.
I make a motion.
Second. All right, discussion on that? Just a recommendation of the Board of Finance, everyone's having a final say.
right, they can come to their own conclusions.
Right, exactly, they can take what we just did and throw it out the window,
Well, I hope
which they did last year.
Just
What's the
hear that,
difference in the
because
numbers?
he sometimes thinks we're the
John,
last
what's
word
in that number
on
if
what
they go back?
finance is.
Say that from last year.
Yeah,
97,211.
So we're talking about
All right, so go from basically 50 to
200.
We have a motion on that, second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, none, okay, that's a recommendation. All right, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed,